All right, so we're on page 437. Halacha Chav Gimel, and the last two lines of the middle. B'chol ha'amur le'el b'sif hakodem. Everything we've said above regarding the three different types of pata bava kisani. En lechalek ben imlash ha'tayisa b'dvash u'bechad me'advarim hanan. It doesn't make a difference whether they put honey in the dough or any of the things that were mentioned there. Leven imlash ha'tayisa b'beitzim u'b'mei pirot u'b'yayin, or if you added eggs or fruit juice or wine. Notice Maran mentions that they put inside on page 433. Maran says it's bread the dough had mixed into it honey, oil, milk, or spices. It says it doesn't make a difference. Those are just some common things that people mix into bread. But really anything you mix into a bread mixture that's not flour, water, that already makes it into pata bava kisani. For this reason, the many Sfaradim are particular not to make hamotzi on egg challah, but only on what they call water challah. In Israel, it's very easy to be careful with this. In America, it's very difficult to find challah without eggs, unless, like I told you before, you use pita or something like that. Now that we've said that, on the top of page 438. 438, Ledat kama mirabotenu rishonim, according to some of our rabbis, af pati vesha, even dried bread, shekosesim ota, and it's like crunchy, you can crumble it up. Good. Afilu en ba'ela kemach u'en bevad, even though it only has bread and water. Could go on like what? Bagel. What is a bagel?
Bagel?
No. See, that's the problem. Bagel in Hebrew does not mean bagel. A bagel in English means a bagel. A bagel in Hebrew means? Pretzel. Pretzels are called begelach.
But that's Hebrew?
And it's what they use in the Hebrew language.
It has two yuds here. They usually don't see Hebrew words.
Because it's probably
Something from somewhere else.
maybe Yiddish. I don't know where this word comes from. Begelach. They call it begelach. And ach is not a Hebrew ending of a word. It's a Yiddish ending of a word. So I don't know.
Question. You said challah is only water and what? Flour?
Water and flour.
And salt.
Salt. You know the things, but not anything else. What's the next word? Someone read me the next word. After bagel. What's a karkar? This way you have to love Hebrew. Kraker.
Cracker?
What is a kraker?
Is that like cracker?
Crackers. This actually means crackers. Don't worry.
Buffness.
Yeah, like you have saltines, or what else do people eat? You see them serving a herring. You know those round sandwich crackers that they put
Ritz, yeah.
Ritz. They put the herring on them, or the okay, it's not what they meant. But cracker. What is a cracker?
You get like little dried bread things that this big and buy in the stores.
Correct.
Yeah, like akmak, something like that, which is like a flat cracker bread.
So why is that not bread?
Why is it not bread?
Yeah.
Because you don't make a meal of it?
Because it's crunchy. You don't eat a lot of that. You don't sit down and make sandwiches out of crackers. And so that's the third opinion of what is pata bava kisanin.
So it has to be soft.
Kisanin could be from the word kosesim, where they could be. That's what it's crackery. Which is, by the way, this is the whole question of Sfaradim. What blessing do you make on matzah?
Yeah.
Once the matzah is a cracker, then technically it should lose its status of hamotzi.
Yep.
Which is exactly, look on page 440. That's what he's going to talk about, but we're not going to talk about that right now.
Yeah, you're making motzi on a cracker.
Right. Why are you making hamotzi on a cracker? I mean, what is the difference, forgive me, between a big saltine and a small saltine?
Size.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, I mean,
You're right. Someone said...
on the surface...
What does an elephant have in common with a mosquito? So I said, it's not a helicopter. Okay, we got it. You're right. The size is the...
It's not a...
What's really in bracha? Why should it have a different bracha?
Yeah.
Because a saltine crack you're eating, it's a snack, it's nothing. Matzi at the Seder, it has a very special significance.
You've never seen a person finish a whole sleeve of crackers on their own.
Could be.
Yeah, and then we're supposed to make a sandwich.
You never been to a kiddush somewhere? You never
And then,
saw
they
things?
make matzah crackers.
Oh, very good. Now you go to the store, you can buy matzah crackers.
Like Tam-Tams.
Very good.
Yeah.
What's the difference between that, aside from that they're not kosher for Pesach? Okay, I got it. Maybe I think some boxes say not kosher for Passover.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between that and the big
There is.
matzah?
It's just that size, like you said earlier.
You can make a meal out of the whole matzah, I guess, figuratively speaking. You wouldn't make it out of a
Well, this is the reason why Sfaradim always have soft matzah.
I was gonna say.
It has to be bread.
Yeah.
How can it be a cracker that you make hamotzi
Let's
on?
do it this year.
I told you, we need two things. Flour, special flour, which we can order in time enough. And then we need a clean tabun with an expert, like an Arab, someone who really knows how to bake with a tabun to make it for us.
So are there
Yeah, it could be we should hire someone from El Cajon. It could be.
are there Sephardic matzah that are sold?
Absolutely. The problem with it is it's just like Ashkenazi matzah in the sense that it's just flour and water. So
Soft.
hard crackers, when you make flour and water, they can sit on the shelf for 2 years. A soft cracker with flour and water, imagine a tortilla, just for this flour tortilla. No, don't use flour tortillas on Pesach. I'm just giving an example. You should leave it out for a day on the counter.
Yeah, not so
You can't
good.
eat it anymore.
Yeah.
So what they do is they bake them, then they freeze them, then they mail them to you overnight. So it comes out to something like $90 a pound,
It tastes terrible.
and it tastes terrible. I mean, it still tastes like a matzah. Nothing changed
that's
with the
the
taste.
Yeah, I
reason.
brought them one year.
What?
That's the reason
Oh,
to
we had
become
shmooly
Ashkenazi.
Well, that's why we all use the cracker matzah. But the question
Yeah.
begs: so then why do you make a hamotzi on a cracker
Not supposed
matzah?
to. Not
There
supposed
is a little portable electric bread maker that you could
Right.
use.
You're gonna have to then run into questions of: do all those people who like to be strict on Pesach consider electric flame to be the same as a fire
Oh.
flame? Does it bake through as well as the fire
Well,
does?
It's electric. It bakes very through.
Very interesting.
I know a Peretz stopped using soft matzahs many years ago
Why?
because he made a random spot check in all the matzah factories in Jerusalem that made soft matzahs, and he would rip them in half and show that the insides were not baked properly.
Still raw.
And why? Because who's baking these matzahs?
Yeah.
You think they're gonna let Arabs bake matzahs in Jerusalem?
I know.
Yeah, we need matzahs only baked by yeshiva people, by students, Talmidei Chachamim. What does the yeshiva student and a matzah bakery know about each other? Nothing. And so because they're not experts in baking, they actually make really big problems with the soft matzahs. And it's not because our Peretz disagrees in the idea of a soft matzah, but because the people who are making the soft matzahs are not the experts who make soft matzah. They don't. That's the reason why the Ashkenazim stopped eating soft matzah. The Rama says the reason Ashkenazim don't eat soft matzah is because we don't have among us people who are experts in baking soft bread that is thoroughly baked. It wasn't that Ashkenazi prohibits such a matzah. There simply was not such a reality. And if you probably look at the bread that was eaten in Europe versus bread that was eaten in Middle Eastern countries, it could be that nobody knew how to bake something aside from challah and rugelach and babkas, which are always thick cakes. They're not thin.
I've seen people bake the matzahs.
You've seen, who?
I've seen, but very few.
You've seen a Yemenite family bake matzahs, but they've been baking matzot for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
So that's
so
a person who
what
knows
you're
how.
saying that Sephardic matzah is half-baked bread.
We did it in Denver.
I'm saying Sephardic matzah is like a lafa, or better yet, you know what Persians eat? They have this bread called lavash bread.
Yeah,
You know
well,
what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
yeah.
It's very thin.
Right.
That's what matzah used to look like. In fact, if you go, now still in Iran, they bake matzah like this. They're long rectangle lavash sheets, but they call them.
You can get them in
And
the
how do you know?
Trader Joe's. They sold.
Right, but the ones at Trader Joe's are not kasher the Pesach.
No.
Yeah, I just have to keep saying this because someone's going to walk out and say, when it comes to, the Mishnah says that if you lose your matzah in a bag of challah, so what do you do? How do you know which one is the matzah and which one is the
That's
challah?
how soft they are?
Oh, that's
The
funny.
Mishnah says, what do you do? It's the same exact example of what if you lose your steak, not in a package, a steak, in a package of in a box of not kosher steaks.
Looks like-
Do you eat two of them? Do you eat one of them and not eat two of them because you know there were two not kosher steaks in one? Do you look for a sign, something that's similar to what you saw? Do you throw them all out because it's two against one? What do you do? The same exact halakha about Pesach. What happens if your matzah gets mixed in with your challah and you can't find it?
So that's how similar they look.
I mean, the Mishnah is telling you what matzah looked like. Now, how thick can matzah be?
At that time of year, why would you have matzah?
Because in the morning you had your
Oh, in the
your
morning,
lafa, and the same morning you were baking your matzahs, and then one of the kids took it and threw it in the box. He thought it was the same thing. The cleaning lady came and put them all together. They looked the same to her.
It does look very similar to the bread they make in the tabbouleh.
Oh, very good. It does look very similar to
does.
the bread, but we live in a culture where we don't even eat the food that we used to eat, so we're not aware of these halachot. And the Mishnah Berurah says, how thick can a matzah be? What's the thickest size of a matzah? It goes against everything you ever learned in Hebrew school, because they told us it has to be crunchy, it has to be burnt.
It was like a
Very
hand
thin,
bread.
right?
If it's thicker than a tefach, the size of your fist, 8 centimeters is the number our rabbis give,
That's pretty big.
then it's already considered chametz. Less than 8 centimeters is not chametz. Which is why that whole concept of it can be bread, can be rice, it has to be humble bread, all these cute things, leave them in preschool. This is not the real halakha. So what is the bracha of matzah the rest of the year? You'll find some sfaradim that make hamutzi on matzah during Pesach and mizono on matzah the rest of the year.
Mhm.
The question then kicks in over there, what if they eat enough matzah to be a meal? Then that's like any other pata b'kisanin in which you have to
Same old.
wash and say hamotzi. So that's interesting halakha. We're going to come back to this whole discussion of pata b'kisanin. I just wanted to finish the conversation. So now you know the final rule. And page, I see some matzah still floating. Questions about matzahs? Nobody's
The only
walk away
question
eating
I have,
Trader Joe's?
the Sephardic, so-called Sephardic matzah is supposed to be reminiscent or exactly the same as the matzah that was used by Jews when they left Egypt.
It's supposed to be the same, and I'll explain. We say that they were baking bread, and it didn't have time for the bread to rise. Rise is an interesting word, because I don't know that rise is like what you think. They put in yeast and they made thick breads. It's okay. Let's leave it where
There
it
was
is.
natural fermentation, which occurs after a certain amount of time.
Which you do
That's why
the same
18
thing you do with
minutes-
lafas, by the way. It's the same story. You're not actually rising them. It's you wait a little bit of time. But 18 minutes is not even a number. 18 minutes is simply the amount of time you have if you leave the dough sitting out. But what happens? You're baking matzahs for your family, because everyone bakes matzahs for their own family. My grandmother used to do that. And when do you bake? Every day of Pesach, because they doesn't stay fresh till the next day. So now you're waiting in line, but there's only one tabun, there's only one communal oven. So we have 18 minutes, nobody's gonna have time to bake their matzot that they made in their house. So what's the solution?
Oh, I know what they do, because I've seen it.
What do?
They keep kneading it.
Very good.
And no one's got a
A
stopwatch.
rabbi, nobody has a timer. A rabbi says so long as you're kneading the dough, the 18 minutes haven't started yet. You could literally sit there kneading the dough the whole day. So long as you're disturbing the dough, so to speak, you could put it in the oven. That's what happens. The 18 minutes, the matzot that you buy are not even 18-minute matzot. I was in a matzah factory. At about 11 to 12 minutes, they stop. All the dough that's left over, they throw it away. They don't even want to get near 18 minutes, because they don't even know the halachot over there. It's a problem. Our parents in the older days when he didn't have money, he used to go to the matzah factories, watch them, and he would take the matzot that they threw away. Because they're still in the 18 minutes. They're not even anywhere near being not kosher matzot. Think about the fact that when you buy shmura matzah, and it's $25 to $30 a pound, and there are families that can't afford that. That if all those matzot, it's a stringency that someone decided in a matzah factory in Yerushalayim, in Bnei Brak, in New York, if they would decide not to be so strict, then everybody could afford shmura matzah and Pesach. But because they decided to literally, it's half the time they give, that's why we throw matzot out, and that's why people can afford matzot for Pesach. And all the money that Jews give to tzedakah to help other people buy matzah, that money could have gone to actual efforts of tzedakah instead of to help people buy crackers. So back to the story of Pesach. In order to make a crunchy matzah, that's not, it didn't have time to rise. You actually have to work very hard to make that matzah crunchy. If you've seen, you have to roll it and spike it and make holes in it and burn it, and that's not a natural way to make bread. So the matzah is simply bread that didn't have time to ferment properly.
So therefore, it was probably more like the Sephardic.
flat bread.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm going to put again, it's not a Sephardic matzah. The Ashkenazim used
Well-
to eat such matzah too, until the Ramah said simply there's no one who's experienced enough to do this. He does this in a number of areas. Like I was taught in Jewish school, which part of the animal you're not allowed to eat?
The back end.
The back end, right? Everyone knows this. The back end of the animal you can't eat. Jews don't eat the back end. It's not true.
You can't eat where the sciatic nerve
You
is.
can't eat where the Gidan Hashem is, the sciatic nerve. Part of studying to be a shochet in the olden days was to learn how to do something called nikul. Nikul is how to cut out the sciatic nerve
Right.
with all the fat that's around it and all the things that are there, so that you could have the meat without anything that's connected to the nerve. And then the whole back of the animal was eaten. How could he throw away half a cow? But here, today you'll already go. I was in a class recently, and a rabbi said, according to Kabbalah, we only eat the first half of the animal. You're crazy. It doesn't even say that in the Kabbalah. There's no significance to the front half of the animal versus the back half of the animal.
That's when the Shabbos like